This conference will now be recorded.
Are you able to see my screen, everyone? I just if you respond, one of you respond is fine. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Right. So let's understand what is Linux operating system is. And today's agenda is that what is Linux, what is operating system, history of Linux, Linux origins, why Linux, and architecture of Linux, advantages, disadvantages of Linux, Linux file system hierarchy, basic Linux commands, advanced Linux commands, deployment commands, and shell scripting also we'll do in our last session. So that is the agendas. So please. So what is Linux? It is a Unix-like operating system. It is a Unix-like operating system. It can run on 32-bit and 64-bit hardware. Linux OS is freely distributable and cross-platform. So like Windows, we don't require any licenses. It is freely distributable. Anybody can install this OS on their machines. And it is cross-platform. Cross-platform means so on this Linux machine, you can install any kind of applications. Any kind of applications you can execute on Linux machines. Supports multiple processors, true multitasking, and multi-user OS. It's a true multitasking. That means multiple users can do multiple tasks. They can connect at a time to this Linux server, and each user can do his own individual task he can execute. So as we already learned in one of the session, what is operating system? Operating system is an interface between user and the computer hardware. The hardware of the computer cannot understand the human readable language as it works on binaries, that is zeros and ones. In such case, we need an interface which can translate human language to hardware and vice versa for effective communication. Types of operating system, we have MS-DOS. It's a single user, single user and single tasking operating system. That means only one task can be done at a time by only one user. Whereas Windows also a single user multitasking, but here single user but multitasking can be done on Windows. But remember, from Windows version XP, Windows XP onwards, now Windows also is a multi-user operating system. Before Windows 7, sorry, before Windows XP, it is only single user multitasking operating system. But from Windows, when company, when Microsoft released Windows XP, from there that time onwards, Windows XP supports multi-user, not single user, even if it supports multi-user and multitasking operating system. And Linux is a multi-user multitasking operating system. So history of Linux. In April 1991, he is a person called Linus Torvalds. Okay, at the time he was 21 years old student at University of Helsinki, Finland. Started working on some sample ideas on for an operating system. So in September 1991, Linux version 0.01 was released on FTP server of the Finnish University and Research Network. Okay, it had around 10,000 plus lines of code. The X Windows system at the time we used to have Unix machine. So when you log into Unix machine, we used to get a GUI, graphical user interface with the X window system. Was soon ported to Linux. In March 1992, Linux version 0.95 was the first to capable of running X. So he is a person who actually invented this. He created this operating system, Linux. So features of Linux operating system. So it's portable. Portability means softwares can work on different types of hardware in same way. Okay, Linux kernel and application programs supports their installation on any kind of hardware platform. Open source. Linux source code is freely available and it is community based development project. Multiple teams work in collaboration to enhance the capability of Linux operating system, and it's continuously evolving. So it's open source. Open source means still it's evolving. The source code is available on the GitHub, so anybody can share, can extend the source code, Linux source code, so that the code anybody can write, extend the code, and that will be reviewed by the administrators, the main persons, the leads who observe, who maintaining the code. They will review, and if the code use can, if it is upgraded, used, can be used as extension of the existing Linux source code, they can add it. But if they found that the code is not that much useful, they can reject it. They can reject it. That means it's available on the GitHub. Anybody can extend the code. Multi-user. Linux is multi-user system, means multiple users can access system resources like memory, RAM, application programs at the same time. At the same time. Multi-programming. Linux is a multi-programming system, means multiple applications can run at same time, like Windows. Hierarchical file system. Linux provides a standard file structure in which system files, user files are arranged. We will see that in a moment. Shell. Linux provides a special interpreter program which can be used to execute commands of the operating system. It can be used to do various types of operations, call application programs, etc. So shell is actually on top of the another software called kernel. Kernel is another software. Kernel is another software which interacts with the hardware. So on top of kernel, we have a shell. To the shell only, we will interact using commands, various commands that we will see in a moment. Security. Linux provides user security using authentication features like password protection and control access to specify files, encryption of data. So when compared with Windows operating system, Linux operating system have more security. Architecture of Linux OS. Linux system architecture is consists of following layers. Hardware layer. Hardware consists of all peripheral devices, RAM, HDD, CPU, etc. Kernel, core component of operating system, interacts directly with hardware, provides low level services to upper level components. We'll see this in a moment. Shell, an interface to kernel, hiding complexity of kernel functions. So kernel also is software. It's also a software. There will be different types of developers in the industry. Some developers do Java applications, some do .NET applications, right? Some write code for the kernel. Okay, we call when you find they have special job roles actually. Device driver, they write device drivers code. So the right code, the code which directly interacts with the hardware itself. Whereas the Java and .NET applications mostly used for what for mostly for developing web applications kind of. But kernel developers also there, they will write applications to interact with the hardware. Shell, an interface to kernel, hiding complexity of kernel's functions from users, takes commands from user and executes kernel functions. So suppose you want to create a directory, you can give a command like mkdir is a command. That command actually goes to shell. So you say, if you say mkdir, some new folder you want to create, so shell will take that request and it will communicate with the kernel, and kernel will communicate with the hardware, and the hardware will create a new directory. Utilities. Utility programs giving user most of the functionalities of an operating system. Like no utility is nothing but your calculator, Word, various things, various desktop applications we can call as utility programs. If you see this one, this is your hardware. On top of it, your kernel will be there. So to this kernel, only shell will communicate. Only shell will communicate. All your programs, all these are the Linux commands will will go through via shell. Shell will finally communicate with the kernel, and on top of shell we have various applications running like your browser, your Excel sheet, your database, your mail program. So various programs so will be running on top of your shell. So users will communicate directly with the shell, only with the shell. So they will give various commands to them. So these are the existing programs. These are the existing programs. CP, grep, tar. These are various existing programs. So these programs will connect to kernel, and kernel will do the requested job. So user has to give a command like, no, you want to create a folder or copy some file. You will use CP command, CP and file name you will give. That command goes to shell first. Shell will communicate with the kernel, and kernel will do the job by communicating with the hardware. That way the interaction will be. What are the advantages? It is free and open source. Linux is portable to any hardware platform. Linux requires minimum hardware configuration. Linux continuous work well even when the hard disk is almost full. Sometimes Windows will crash, but Linux will even it work even the hard disk is almost 95% it's full. Linux can run almost forever without any reboot. It's stable. Normally on Windows, what happens whenever you install a new software, we have to reboot. But Linux, that is not required. That is the reason most of the IT companies use Linux. So if they are using Linux, they no need to reboot. So but Windows, it is not like that. This is one another main region to go with Linux. Most of the IT industry goes with Linux. They deploy their applications on Linux. Linux operating system does not slow down with time. Linux operating system comes with some inbuilt softwares like open source, so OpenOffice for Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Firefox, CD/DVD, Burner, etc. Linux is one of the most secure operating systems. A large number of Linux distributions give you a choice. So around nearly 200 Linux distributions we have as of now. Around 200 plus Linux distributions we have. So that means the main Linux was modified by different companies. Like Red Hat. Red Hat modified the Linux and they named it as Red Hat Enterprise version. They sell them the enterprise version. So they improvise it and they distribute it. So like that, many companies taken the Linux base version and they modified it. They modified it and they call it as their own distribution. They call it as their own distribution. So distribution nothing but their own version, with their own version which was modified by them, and they will sell it into the market. Okay, so the large number of Linux distributions give you a choice. The Linux OS and most Linux applications have very short debug times. So mostly they work flawlessly. Okay, issues are very low on Linux machines, but in Windows it's not like that. So if a bug arises in Windows, then the company has to raise a request, and the support team on Windows on Microsoft company, they will take some time to fix it. But Linux, because it's open source, so whenever there is a bug, though because it's open source to lot of programmers, they immediately fix the issue because it's open source. Many programmers can connect to the open source, and they can work on the bug and they can fix it. But whereas in Microsoft, only Microsoft employees have to work to fix the problem. That is the reason Microsoft takes a long time, whereas Linux OS takes very less time if there are any issues in the OS. If there were a widespread Linux virus released today, there would be hundreds of patches released tomorrow, right? So assume in Linux does not uh, the easily viruses will not be entered into Linux operating system. Why? Because if tomorrow, as for the statement, if today assume a virus is attacked on Linux operating system, then hundreds of patches will be released tomorrow by lot of open source users, but lot of open source users who are called as programmers. They can immediately work on the issue and they can fix it within a day. They can fix it either by ordinary people that use operating system or by distribution maintainers. Now distribution maintainers like Red Hat, suppose Red Hat is modified the Linux, he will not allow to change his code because he modified it, right? So only Red Hat people can work on it. So that is the reason. So distributions will take care. We won't need to wait for patch from a single company like we do with Windows. That we should understand. Disadvantages: there is no standard edition of Linux. So today, suppose you want to if you want to install a Windows operating system, you can easily select any one of them, like Windows 10 or Windows 11. Mostly you go to Windows 11, very easy. But whereas in Linux, we have multiple versions available over there. We will discuss those things in a moment. So again, depends what according to your requirements. We have various types of Linux versions available in the market. We can on the internet you can download it. Linux is not very user friendly and confusing for beginners. So it's very confusing because hundreds of versions are available in the market, in the internet, and when you see them, all are look and feel as different. Whereas Windows, if you take, all are same, looks same, but Linux is not like that. Many versions are there, so you will confuse which one to use. So the Linux folder system looks like this. So under the root, we will have these are called all system folders, like root, boot, bin, var, etc, media, home, sbin, usr, user, dev, option, opt. So what are the contents? What each contains? Normally in the root folder we have all the system folders. One is bin. Bin contains all binary files. Sbin contains system binary files. Binary files, I told you, no, the files which you download from the internet. Suppose you want to install some software, you download it, you will get a exe file downloaded, right? Those are called binary files. Similarly, these are the same binary files. etc, in this contains configuration files. Mostly configuration files we keep inside /etc. Device files go into /dev. Process information mostly go to proc folder. Variable files go to var folder. Like that, temporary files, user programs, home directories, most of the home directories. So whenever a new user is created, for every new user, when you create, a home directory will be created for him. We will see that. Similarly, we have bootloader files, system libraries, optional applications, mount directories, removal devices, service data. So for different files, they are segregated into different folders, into different directories. That you should understand. Okay. Now let's jump into practicals. Now try to interact with our operating system. So we have various operating systems. Like as I told you, we have mostly easily 200 plus distributions are available. Linux distributions are available. So most of them you can see, we already saw in our when we worked on cloud, we already saw a few of them. For example, suppose when you launch instance, we have already Amazon Linux, Ubuntu, Red Hat, SUSE Linux, okay, Debian, right? Right. We have more actually. Debian, we have CentOS also we have, and even we have Fedora Linux, Fedora, right? And some hackers. So some people who do various hacking purpose, for hacking purpose also, we have different Linux like Kali Linux. Okay, they use for mostly hacking purpose. So to avoid the hackings, so they go for Linux, Kali Linux. Okay, but mostly industry uses Ubuntu. Mostly they use Ubuntu. Okay, Ubuntu and CentOS and Red Hat Linux, Enterprise Linux. So the Red Hat Linux, Enterprise Linux. So these are different Linux distributions. Not mostly in IT companies they use them. Most of the companies use Ubuntu. Most of them they use Ubuntu. And next comes Red Hat. These two will used by most of the companies most of the time. Okay, now let's create an instance now. So normally, if you have on your laptop, if you have already a Linux machine, then no problem. You can start working on it. But as I told you, we don't require any Linux machine to learn Linux. So we can create one EC2 instance on cloud, and we start using it, and we start learning the Linux. Okay, so Before I start, let me check how many all are joined. Who are joined? Fine. Revanti not joined. Okay. Okay. Amazon is okay. Take Amazon Linux. That's all. Let's launch it. Hope the screen is console is visible to you all.
Yeah, Madan, for Amazon services, we can connect directly in Amazon itself, right? We don't need any third party like Best like that.
Come again, please.
For Amazon services we are using, right? For that, we can connect directly in Amazon itself, right? There is a connect options in
You,
that
you,
Amazon.
you can write directly. You can click on connect. You can do it.
Yeah.
No problem. Here
Yes,
also you
yes.
can do it. No problem. Okay. You can use this one. No problem. Okay. You can do that as well. That as well. No problem.
Okay.
Okay. You can try here also. No problem. So I want to clear the screen. So simply say clear. Type here clear command. Okay. So here, okay, to clear the screen or terminal. I'm typing clear and press enter now. So I want to know who is the who is the logged in user. Who is the logged in user? So user here is the name is EC2 user. His name is EC2 user. I want to find out who is the logged in user. Okay, you can use a command called who am I? Who am I? Without any space. Okay, so this is to know to find the logged in user. I will say who am I? It's displaying the user name, that is EC2 user. By default in Amazon Linux you'll have EC2 user, but when you use other Linux distribution like Ubuntu, then you will get Ubuntu over here. It changes. Some basics commands like, for example, I want to see the date. You have date command. Okay. Similarly, we have if you want to see uh, calendar is a command. You can let's see this both. Date. Date will display the current date. And calendar displays the calendar month. Everything it will display. Okay. Similarly, in which directory you are working. For example, if you go here our Windows, for example here if I go to some this folder, or for example the desktop. So this is a folder I want to go inside. So in this folder these are files are there. All right. So in which folder I am in desktop 2 folder. Similarly, I want to check on Windows what is the current folder I am working on. To check that, I have to use present working directory. If you press this, it will show you are in a directory called EC2 user directory. There is a directory home directory, in that another directory called EC2 user. this is EC2 user is another directory. In that you are working. So pwd is present working directory. To know the present working directory, we use pwd. Okay. And next comes, now I want to create a new directory. I want to create a new folder in Windows. So who already know Linux, maybe boring for you people, but who does never worked, it will helpful for them. Okay, so there is I'm going from basic. Now here I want to create a new folder. Okay, in Windows how you do? In Windows you can click here a button, all graphical, right? You click on new and you can click on folder and you can give new, okay, doc something. I can create like this. A folder is created now. But in Linux we have to use a command called make dir, okay, to create a new directory, or we can say folder also, no problem. So mkdir, okay, and the directory I want to create is something like a folder 1, for example. And you see, if I type I want to see the files what are created in this directory. Where we are in which directory? We are in EC2 directory. Present working directory we pressed just now, right? We are in EC2 directory. In this directory I want to see what are files and folders available in EC2 directory. Normally in Windows, what you do, if I want to check what are files and folders available in this folder, I will double click it and everything come over here, right? Same thing, to find out the same thing, what we do, we use ls command. Ls command displays all the list of files and folders. You can say directories also, don't confuse. So I say ls. Now you see the folder 1 which is created is folder 1. I don't know whether it is folder or file. I am not able to understand. So then we have a command called ls-l. ls-l displays details in long format. Let's try that. Now ls minus hyphen l, I can say hyphen l or minus l, both are fine. You see now this folder is a folder, and it's a directory. The D it is showing, it's a directory. And what are all these things? We will understand in a moment. We'll go to it in a moment. And this is the username and is a group name. What is username? What is group name? How can we change username? How can we change group names? So those things we'll discuss in a moment. But as of now, they are the basic things you should understand. Okay. So any questions till now? Now ls, I want to get into folder. I want to get inside the folder. Then how can I do? What can you do? You can use cd command. Cd, that means change directory. So suppose you want to get into this folder, you can say cd folder name or directory name. Simply you say cd folder name. Don't need no need to type complete name. Just type F and tab, enter. Now you see the folder name coming here. Now I want to come out of this folder. Then here at the beginning I will give dollar symbol. Okay, just dollar, just here is dollar is there, no, same I want to give, so that you will see this and you can understand. Similarly, cd space dot dot to come out of the existing directory or folder. Don't confuse, okay, both are same. So let's try this. Now if I say cd space dot dot, now we are out of the folder now. So we are out of the folder, and let me get into one more time to folder 1. If you type ls here, enter, you see I don't have any files here. I don't have any files here, right? So when I come out of this folder, cd space dot dot and ls, enter. Now you see you have folder, but this folder is where it is inside the EC2 user folder. it is inside the EC2 user folder. So now if you say cd dot dot, for example, you see here we are in the home folder. Previously I shown you in the home directory we have EC2 directory. Now when I say cd dot dot, that means we are out of EC2 user now. We are into home directory now. Now when you press ls, now enter, you see, you will see EC2 username. This is a folder. Like folder 1, we have EC2 user a folder, new folder with there. The same folder which we are seeing here. Okay. Now I want to come back, then simply say cd tilde symbol. Now if you say cd tilde symbol, you are back, you are back into EC2 user folder. You type ls now. Now you are seeing ls folder which is created inside the EC2 folder previously. That means whenever you want to come to the your home your user directory, you have to type cd tilde symbol. To come back to the user folder. Okay, cd tilde you have to use. When example, you say first you are in say the same thing. Let me try if I can copy it. Try this way. So when you say cd dot dot, home will come here, ls, and again try cd tilde, and you will be here. And now you type pwd now, present working directory. It will show that you are inside EC2 folder. You can try pwd here. You can see now you will be inside your home EC2 user folder. I'm just copying here because it will be helpful for beginners to try themselves. Step by step I'm trying to give. Okay, now let's create few more file directories. Now ls, only one folder is there. Let me create few more directories folder so that we can play with them. Up arrow, click up arrow, again the same command comes, change this to 3 now. Now ls, we have 3 folders, ls hyphen l. So all 3 are directories with a different color. Okay, so folder 1, folder 2, folder 3 is coming. We have ls hyphen lr also there. Lr, it shows in reverse order. Folder 3 comes to top like that. See, folder 3 coming to the top, it's in reverse order. So whenever you want in reverse order, you can use ls hyphen lr to display files and folders in reverse order. Now let's go and try now play with files. Now till now we created folders. Now let's understand how to create files. So we have a file for command called touch. This command will create one or more than one files at a time, but without any content. Okay, so here if I say touch, then file 1.txt I will say ls. You see, file 1.text is created. Touch did what? It created one file. So whenever you want to create an empty file, you can go with the command called touch. So let me display a long list now. Hyphen l. You see, the file 1 is created. Its color is different when compared with when compared with the directories. So and you see here we have a hyphen, that means it's not a directory, it is a normal file. It's a normal file. Okay, now suppose I want to write, I want to type some content inside it. I want to write some content inside it. Before that, let's use touch again to create few more files. Touch file 1 is created. Now we'll say file 2.txt, touch, sorry, file 3.txt, enter. Less. Now three files are created now. Okay, example, you can say touch file 1.txt. This way you can type. Right. Now there is another way. I want to create a file. At the same time, I want to also input some data. I want to enter some data into that file. Then we have a command called cat command. We have a command called cat command. Use it use it to create single file at a time, not like touch, and allows to add content to the file. Let's try that. Say cat. Now I want to create a file called file 4.txt and press enter. It's saying sorry. Cat. Oh, I'm sorry. Cat actually displays you, and cat. When you give this greater than symbol, it allows you to what you call add the data. So file 4.txt. We'll see the command. It will display the content. It will display the content if a file contains that command. I will run in a moment. File 4.txt, give the greater than symbol like this, give a greater than symbol. Okay, then give the new file name. Then a file name file 4 will be created. Along with it, you can give some data to it. Now it's waiting for you to it is prompting to enter some data. This is new file name something, file 4.txt, and press enter. Now on the I want to go to the second line. If you want to continue, you can continue or press enter. I want only one line to be entered here. Press enter. Now type control C. Now it is, now file is created, file 4 is created. Now you can type this command. I want to see the content of this file. Before seeing the content, let's see whether this file created or not. ls hyphen l, you see the file 4 is created. Fine. So previous files, file 1, file 2 having 0 bytes, that means nothing is there, but this file 4 showing 32 bytes, that means some data is there inside it. How can see that? The same command which I used before, use cat file4.txt. Now you see the file, this is new file with the name file4, the content it came. But before when I ran, what it's saying, file4 no such file or directory, at the time it's not there. So cat command without any symbol in between, it will used for displaying the content in it. And if you add a greater than symbol, it will allow you to create a file as well as it allows you to enter some data into it. Okay, let's show you. Cat command used to create a single file at a time. Okay, I'll show you like here your file name. So this way used to create single file at a time and allows you to create add content to the file. So that you should understand. And now cat, simply cat and file name displays the content if file already exists. Okay, these two things. Now fine, next thing is that suppose I want to add some more to the same file, I want to add some more data. I want to add some more data. Then you have to use one more greater than symbol, two greater symbols without any space, and the same file name you can do. So this command allows to append the existing content. Let's see. Now this is now same thing. Now what I will do, greater than symbol 2 times you enter, and file4.txt. You press enter, it's waiting, it is waiting. Now I will say this is second line. Enter, control C. Okay, here you say uh, note, enter, control press C after finishing of writing content. Now I have added, this is second line. I have pressed control C now. Now I want to see the content of file 4. Simply you can say content cat file 4. You know already. You know that, right? Cat displays the content. Press enter. You see this is second line coming as a second line. One more line I want to add to demonstrate another command. This is third line. Control C. Now I will display the content. Now three lines came up. Now we have a command called reverse of cat, that is stack. Stack is a command which will display the content in reverse order. Okay, so you simply say file 4 and enter. Now you see the third line coming first, it's in reverse order. Stack displays the content in reverse order. Stack, this command displays content in reverse order. Okay. Any questions till now?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, Rajesh.
Yeah, only the text files can be saved in this format or PDF or any other file formats like MP3 videos.
No, Rajesh. Only text files.
Only text files. Okay.
Yes, only text files.
That means that Linux supports only the text files. You are saying like that?
No. For MP3, those things we require different tools, different programs for that to deal with such files. So,
Okay, like
yeah,
PDF also.
yes, for everything we should have a different program for that. It's like Windows, we have different programs, right? If you want to do some modification with the MP3, what you do? Such tools you will install, and those tools will work on able to work on MP3, right? Even if you want to work on Linux, you have to install such softwares on Linux, and you can use such two softwares to deal with MP3 or any files.
Okay, but in Windows we are saving that file as a .pdf. So there is no special program for saving the PDF, right?
No, see, you can save it. What extension could be anything. You can say touch. I will say file 5.pdf. If I say ls now, ls hyphen l, this is a PDF format now. This is a PDF extension now.
Okay.
Okay, you
Okay.
can give any extension, but you should properly think what you are doing. Basing on that, you can create the file extension. No problem. So without
Okay.
extension also it works. It's not mandatory that give a extension. If I say file 6 for example, now you see ls
Okay.
hyphen l. Now I got a file 6 now. No extension for that.
Okay.
But still I can add some data to it if you want. I would say file 6. Okay, this is file 6. Control C and cat file 6. See, you can, no extension is not mandatory here.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
The I got doubt for every each and line you are keeping the dot extension file, right?
No,
So I
no. It's not mandatory. Just to make you understand, it's a just make you understand, because we are use Notepad, right? It having
mm,
.txt, right? That is the reason I just not to confuse.
okay.
I used the text. Now let's see what we will do now. Let's go to folder one. Okay, how to go to folder one? You know by now folder one, ls. You see folder one is there. In this no files are there. Okay, what I will do? Let's create some files now. I will say touch. Here in this I will give the same name file1, because it's a different folder you can give same name, no problem. But it's in the same folder, you should not create same file. So I will say here touch file1, file2. Now ls hyphen ll hyphen l, I got two files created, file1, file2 now, right? It's in where? In folder 1. You see, it's we are doing in folder 1. Now I'm coming out of folder 1 now. How to come out with? Cd space dot dot. Now ls hyphen l. Now I want to delete a folder. To create a folder, you know mkdir. To delete a folder, we have dm rmdir. Sorry, rmdir. So rmdir deletes a directory or folder. Okay. Condition is that they should be empty. Deletes a folder only if they are empty. That means here you see, if I say rmdir, if I say delete folder 2, if I time to folder 2, what is in folder 2? Let's try folder 2, enter ls. Folder 2 is empty, right? I can delete it. Cd space dot dot, come back. I'll say rmdir folder 2, I'm saying. Enter. Now it is deleted. Let's see again. Content. You see, folder 2 was not there. Previously it was there. Now it is removed. Now folder 1 also, if I try to remove, it will not delete. Why? I will tell you. The rmdir, if I say folder 1, it says failed to remove folder 1, directory not empty. As you know, this folder 1 having some content. Okay, we just now created some files in it. Sir, no, we just created some files in it. That is the reason we are not able to create it. So there are two options. You can go into folder 1 one more time. ls, you see we have two files here in this folder. That is the reason this rmdir not working. But to check the files, whether the files, how many files are there inside this folder, what I am doing, I am using command called cd space folder 1. But without using that also, you can check the content of the folder 1. How? You simply say ls hyphen l, give the folder name, folder 1. You see, previously I went to the inside the directory and then I said ls, but not required. You can simply say ls hyphen l and you can say folder 1 directly. Give the folder name, the content of that file folder will be shown here directly. That means without getting into the folder, we have a command like this you have to use. Anyway, now then how can I remove it? How can I delete the folder now? Now you have to use a command called rm minus hyphen r, removes, okay, directory or folder even they are not empty. Okay, and we can use ls hyphen l directory name space and files and folders without using going inside the folder, going into inside the folder. Right, now you say simply rm, what I said, rm hyphen r, you say hyphen r and folder name, folder 1. Now it has removed now. Previously I used rmdir and directory was not empty at the time. This command will not work for that. It will work only for empty folders, not for the folders which having already some files. So then you have to use rm hyphen r, then you will remove everything. ls hyphen l, now let's check. See, the folder 1 is completely deleted now. Okay, let me create these folders again. I cleared a screen. ls hyphen l, I will say make dir folder 1, 2. Now I'm displaying again them. Again I'm displaying. Now as we already saw, we have command called ls-lr. So now they are showing in reverse order. We have another command called ls-lt. Lt displays as per the time, as the time when they are created. So if you see, the time is sorted out now. The time is sorted out now. So the first one is created 4:15, another is 4:17 as per time based. I want to reverse this. Simply you can add r here, then you can add r here. Enter. So it's reversed now. Same content is reversed now. So when you're dealing with a huge number of files, these commands will helpful for you in real time. Okay, lt displays files and folders in as time based. Plus hyphen ltr displays in reverse order. Okay, this document I will share with you after the session. Okay, now let's understand copy command. Copy command ls. Okay, what is in file 1? Cat file 1. I want to see the content of file 1. Nothing is there. Okay, did we created some data in file? Which file it is? Not sure. Okay, no problem. Now I will enter some data in. Uh, I think okay. Sorry, here I can see the data, right? It is showing 79 bytes of file 4. Okay, what is that? What is there in file 4? So okay, now suppose I want to copy this content to be copied into file 1. File 1 is now empty, showing 0 bytes. How can I do that? Simply say cp copy. Okay, what, so which file content you want to copy? File 4, because file 4 having the content. Simply say file, and I want to copy into file 1. Now ls hyphen l. Now you see file 1 also having same number of bytes, 79. Previously it was 0. Previously file 1 was 0. Now we are copied now. Okay, let's print file 1 now. The same content, but it's saying the file with the name file 4, right? Which is actually this belongs to file 4, right? It's everything copied to now. Now suppose I want to copy the content of file 1 and file 4 also into all these three files. All these files I want to copy into another one, another file. That means yeah, these are multiple files. File 1, file 4. There are two multiple files. Even you can have more than two files also, no problem. Then, but I want to copy the content of file 1 and file 4 to file 2. So file 2 having 0 bytes now. I want to copy the content, even though file 1 and file 4 having same content, but assume for time being file 1 having different data and file 4 having different data. Or I can do one thing, cat will append something here to file 1. I will say this is fourth line in file 1.txt. Control C. Now cat file 1. See, the fourth line is added now. Okay. Now if you say ls hyphen l, the size also increased now. Okay. Now the content of file 1 and file 4, I want to combine them and I want to move into file 2. Then how can I do it? For this, copy will not work. For this we have to use cat command. Cat having various ways, various versions actually. So the same cat command we can use now. You can use cat command and you can type the file, the which file you want to copy now? File 1. and file 4.txt. Now you have to use the operator called greater than symbol. You have to use the greater than symbol and where you want to move in file 2. Enter. It is done now. Now type ls-l now. Now you see the file 2 previously it was 0 bytes, now it is 191 bytes. Why? 112 and 79 both if you add you will get the 191 bytes. Now if I see the content of it, before seeing the content, let's copy cps copies content from one file to another. So here copy, you can say copy here source file and destination file. Then we have at file, second file. I will say I will use double quotations better because here I'm going to use this command involves the greater than symbol, so you will confuse. Don't use double quotations while you testing it. Use greater than symbol and the destination file or target file. Okay, what is this for? To what do you call, to copy content from multiple files to a single file. Okay, that way you can use. Example, okay, this is one example we can remember. Now I want to say content of file 2. So now file 2, if I say, you see it contains the first file content and the second file content, right? That way. Now assume the file 6, if you see here, assume I forgotten to give the extension. Here I have not given the extension. Two ways you can do. One way is you can remove it. How? You say remove file 6. Now ls-l, it is removed now. Then what you can do? Then you can say touch file 6.txt. Yes or no? This way you can do. Now file 6 with proper extension it has came. Now so remove file name, removes a file. But in short how we can do it? In short, how I can do it? Without, instead of using two commands, removing and then creating again, instead of that, you can use a move command. Move command moves files completely from one location to another location, or it can also be used to change the file names. For example, here if you take file 5.pdf is there, I want to change the pdf to txt, then simply what I can do, file 5, this is a old name, this I want to give a new name to it, file 5.txt, enter. Now ls-l, you see file 5.txt, now as it is been renamed. That means otherwise what we used to do, if you don't know move command, then what we have to do, we have to remove the pdf file, because I assume I wrongly given the extension, I remove it and I have to create it again, right? Instead of that, simply use move command, okay, and you can rename it to rename a existing file, that we can use. Now assume this file 2 having 191, bytes. I want to count how many lines it having, how many words it having. For example, cat file it having. I want to count how many lines it having, how many words it having, how many characters it having. Then we have a command called wc word count and file 2.txt. It's saying there are 7 lines, 36 words, 191 characters in file 2.txt. That's what it's saying. Hope you understand. Simple command. It will helpful whenever you want to know find the details about a file. To displace number of lines, words, and characters in the specified. Any questions till now?
No, no, fine.
Okay. Now, as I told you in the PPT, we have different structure, different folders available. One of them etc. In etc, we have some important files. For example, suppose I want to see a content of a file called. There's a file called password. For example, it's inside a etc folder. I want to see it. Simply, you can say where it is in etc folder /etc slash password is a file. It's a file. It exists inside this etc folder. I want to see the content of this file. You can simply say cat and you can press enter. You see, it contains all the user details. So I am the user EC2 user now, and this user ID is 1000. Okay, this user's home directory is /home EC2 user, and this user can use a shell that is bash shell. He can work on bash shell. By default, a bin bash is attached to him. Whatever he can work on bash shell. So a ID and default home directory for this user. In coming session, we will try to understand how can we create our own user, how can we create users, different users, and every user will have its own home directory. That we will understand in coming session. But as of now, EC2 user is a user which we are in, and it having a home directory as a default directory, and it using bin bash. Now suppose this is a content I'm seeing now. Okay, so I don't want to see the whole list. I want to see only top 5 lines of this file. Example I'm taking because I'm dealing with, because this file contains lot of list. That is the reason I'm taking help of this file, right? And I want to see only first few lines. Then we have a command called head. Head is a command. Let me first write it here. By default, it displays first 10 lines of any file. Okay. Suppose you want to display only some okay, some of the lines, only some of the lines. Then you can say head. I want to display only first few lines. You can say hyphen 4. You can say hyphen 4 and the file name. Just a minute, please. Be online. Yeah, thank you. Okay, So by default it displays 10 files, and if you want only top 4 lines I want, you can say add -4. Let's try this. First if you say okay, head and file name is what the file name hyphen etc. File name is inside this, right? Password, enter. Now head etc, I'm saying it displaying first 10 lines, displaying only first 10 lines. Now I want to see only first 3 lines. For example, I can say head minus hyphen -3 file name, displaying only 3 lines. Okay, like that you can try. You only one line I want, press enter, only first line it is showing. Suppose I want to see from the bottom, I want to see from the bottom last 10 lines I want to see. Then we have another command called tail. Tail is a command by default displays last 10 lines of 10 lines of any file, and tail, which is simply replaced with head with tail. If you say -4, then displays last 4 lines of a file. Okay, so let's try that. First of all, let's display cat etc. Now I want to display from the last, right? So simply say tail and hyphen cat, sorry, hyphen etc. You see I'm seeing the my ECT user. That means this command has displayed from the bottom to top 10 lines, it has displayed. So because you can see ECT user is coming in the bottom. Now I want to see only the ECT user, only for the last line I want. What we can do? Tail -1 and etc. You see only one last line we got it. So this way you can uh, get the details if the file is very lengthy. If the file is very lengthy. I'm clearing the screen. ls hyphen l. These are the files now. Okay. Now cat file. I forgot a command we used to have. Let me try it too. So this line. Okay. What is the command? There's a command called hyphen n. Yeah. If you see, if you give cat hyphen n, for example, you will get the line numbers for each line. Okay. This also you can use hyphen l n. No, till now it's fine. Or next coming to so till now we used cat command, and we added lines, single lines, right? Then what about if you're dealing with long lengthy files, and if you want to edit the content in between the files, right? Then no, we can go with VI editor. We can go with VI editor. So VI editor will help. It's like a notepad only. With that, you can what you call you can edit the file in a editor. For example, file 2. If I want to open in a editor, you type it, so it's open in a editor now. you put it is in a editor. So this VA editor is not like Notepad editor. It's somewhat different. If you want some line, then you have to use some commands. You have to use various commands. Only then you can able to edit it. This editor comes in three different modes. Actually, VA means visual, display, editor. We have another editor called Vim also. This is same visual, display, editor, improvised. Okay, this VA editor has three modes. Has three modes. First one is command mode. So command mode. So very first time we are in the command mode. By default we are in the command mode now. It's waiting to take commands. And second mode is called insert or edit mode. That means if you want to edit something in this file, then you have to shift to this mode. We are in currently command mode. To edit something in that, you have to shift to edit mode. And third one, last one is extended command mode. Okay, extended command mode. Now suppose I want to move to the right side, then I have to press L, small L on your laptop key on the keyboard. L, small L, I have to press small L. I am pressing L now, and I have to come down. I have to press J, J, and to go up, I have to say K. So I will provide you some PDF on Linux commands on for the VA editor. You can go through it and you can practice it because we have a lot of commands on VA editor. So very few we are going to learn now, which are mostly used. But for to gain more knowledge, I will provide you the required PDFs very soon, so that you can go through it and you can practice more. Okay. Now suppose we have a command. So those are the things. Now for example, I'm coming down. Using to come down, I have to say J. Come down. We press J. Now I want to go to the top of the screen. Then we have to type capital H, capital H, Shift H. You see, when I press Shift H, I automatically gone through the first line to the beginning of the letter. Suppose I want to come to the bottom. I want to come somewhere here, be a line, last line, at the last character. Then you have to press capital L, Shift L, press Shift L. Oh, it's a bottom line, but not at the end of the line, but beginning of the line. It's a Shift L. Now to go to the end of the line, then press dollar symbol, Shift dollar. See, Shift dollar. So normally developers who work mostly on Linux machines, they are very good in using VA editor. But mostly people like us, DevOps engineers, mostly we require some minimum knowledge is enough. We don't need to be master in knowing the commands. Again, I want to go to the top, so Shift H. Now I'm here. Now suppose I want to copy the first line completely. I want to copy it. Okay. Then press simply you type YY two times. You would press YY. Now this is copied now. I pressed YY two times. It is copied now. Now you have to paste it. Okay. Where to paste? Where you want to paste? Somewhere here. Now simply type P. See, the first line is completely copied here. So H is to move to left. Okay, I will provide you the PDF anyway, but few commands I'm giving here. L for right side, to move to right side. Okay, okay, and J is to move down, and what is that? K is to up. Okay, similarly we have H. H is for to move up of the screen. Okay, and now we have L. L is to bottom of the screen, bottom of the line, last to moves to the last line, to move to the last line of the content. Okay, I'm making complicated. No problem. Okay, so those are some basic commands, and N is also their command. N, start of the current line, and we have a command called dollar. So this dollar will take you to end of the line, end of the current line, right? We have also commands like many more, like no YY, for example. YY, if you type YY, these are all doing in command mode. YY, so copy entire line, and then you can use paste for P for paste, and DD to delete the entire line. For example, if I say here DD, you see the line is gone. Third line also DD, the line is gone. So DD will delete the line. Now if you type U, the previous action will be reverted. Okay, U will revert to the previous actions. Reverts the previous actions. Okay, now we have word W allows to move word by word. That means suppose I'm here, if I say W, instead of I use to move right side I use LL, right? Character by character we are moving, right? H is to move left side, I'm moving back. Now I don't want to move character by character, I want to move by word, then simply type W. See, word by word we are moving. So, and I want to go to the beginning, then press N, small n, capital on or what. Escape. What? Okay. So now we W we saw now. Next is B. B is opposite of word W, which is same but moves in reverse way. Backward, backward movement, word by word. Okay. So if you take B, you are moving backward but word by word, and W forward. Okay, that is you should understand. Now suppose I want to, I will take 5 more minutes and I will end this. I will take a break. Now suppose I want to edit something. You want to edit something, what you have to do is you have to type, press enter. So when you press enter, you will go to insert mode. Press I to come to get into this mode. Okay. Now I'm saying I here. When I say I, you see here insert is coming up. Insert is coming up. Okay. So now you come down and press enter here. So in command mode, if you say if I escape, suppose I'm typing escape. When I type escape, I will go to command mode again. Escape. Now I'm into command mode now. In command mode, if I say enter here, if I go here, to type something text here, by default it's taking text mode. One moment, please. Somewhat change now. So in the command mode, we can our commands will work like pp. Suppose if I say yy, the line is copied, and the yy is not typed here, but I can paste it by p. But if I type again yy, it is not shown here. It is not typing here. But when you go to insert mode, I type here I now. Okay, now I'm typing yy now. You see yy is displayed here. Only insert mode you can see the text. So this is the modified line using vi editor. Escape. Now escape. Now we are using escape now. Now it is done now. Now I want to go to extend mode. I want to go to extended command mode. Why? Because in extend mode only we can either quit or save and quit the file. So we can either quit or save and quit the file. So that means in extended mode, to come to extended mode, we are insert mode now. Escape. Now I'm in command mode. Now to come to extended mode, press shift colon. Shift colon. Now we are in extended mode now. Now I want to save this. If you don't want to save, simply say Q and exclamation mark. Say shift Q and exclamation mark. Without saving the file modifications, we are quitting and coming out of the VI editor. But if you want to save the file and quit, then you have to say WQ. Okay, WQ saves the changes and and quit so that we can come out of the VI editor. Okay, let's try this. Now I don't want to quit now. I want to save it. WQ, press enter. Just press enter. That's all. We are out of it. Now let's display the content. Cat file 2.txt. You see what happened? Sorry, spelling mistake. File. You see the last line is added here. This is the modified line using VI editor. So this way we can use VI editor. We can save it. Again, you can go to file editor now. Enter. Now again I'm into editor now. Now here suppose I want to insert something. I will not save this content. Now I'll say escape, go to extended mode, colon, and simply say Q, exclamation mark, and press enter. The last line will not be saved. Let's try that. Cat file2.txt. You see the last line is not there. The previous one only there. So let's take a break. We'll join again at 11 o'clock. Okay. I'm closing the session and disconnecting the session now. Take break. We'll connect at 11 o'clock. Thank you.